Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matthew Roman, and this is Cannabis Live. I'm the host alongside Craig Aronoff, who is to my left. Today is episode 10. We're going to be discussing the marijuana board that was selected for the state of Michigan. Just want you to know, Cannabis Live is every Wednesday and Friday. Please, we welcome your questions. We want you to be engaged. Please also share it, like it, love it. Anything that comes to mind as we're talking, please post, and we'll try and get to your question either now or on the next episode.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. We are the Cannabis Legal Group. We have an upcoming seminar on June 9th where we're going to be discussing everything you need to know to obtain a license under our new Medical Marijuana Facility Licensing Act. We look forward to lots of questions and answering a lot of substance regarding it, but we had a big development last week in Michigan that many of us as practitioners in the area have been really looking forward to finding out and advancing the cause towards our licensure. And the state governor, Snyder, finally appointed our board.
So yeah, this is huge news. Obviously, the laws passed and part of Public Act 281, which is basically sets up the MMFLA, is that a board had to be selected. And even though the act has some regulations and rules in it, the board's going to be deciding a lot of issues as well. So this is really monumental because not only are we going to hopefully have some clarity on the rules and regulations coming out, but additionally, municipalities have been waiting for this. Many municipalities have been in a wait-and-see mode. They've been saying, we're thinking about opting in. We don't know, but we want to see the final rules from the board, see exactly what this is going to look like a little bit closer to detail. And hopefully now, in the next coming months, we'll see those regulations. So hopefully even more municipalities, once viewing them, will want to opt into the new program.
Yeah, so effectively, if we can just kind of backtrack and give a little bit of the history of the statute and just kind of update our viewers and people interested in the topic. When Michigan finally approved the Michigan Medical Marijuana Facility Licensing Act, in essence what it did was it set out a statutory scheme of what kind of licenses the state was going to approve for operators. Then it also said within that same act that there's going to be a board created by the governor that will be made up of people that were appointed to the board, and that the board would be in charge of creating the rules as well as doing the review of the licenses so that they can get issued. So all this time that we've been talking about what might happen, it's going to be what the board decides that actually will happen.
Right, and so there's 5 members of the board. Each one of them is going to be serving a certain period. They've been picked from multiple political parties, so it's a nice, diverse group of people. But yeah, and they're going to be in charge of really getting those minute details down. One of the common questions that we hope will be answered, at least from clients, is, can these facilities be located, at the same address? Will the secure transporter be required to take from a grow to a processor if they're located in the same place? And these are all things that are really important, especially for our clients, as they get their business plans together, as they start purchasing real estate. It's much easier to know these rules go in before you can make a, potentially couple $100,000 mistake by not having the right facility or, not having the right rules in place beforehand before you make your decisions, finding you have to backtrack and do it a different way because the rules have set it out differently.
Yeah, and this appointment was one necessary thing that was going to allow this continue to move forward to the point where we're actually able to submit the applications. And as Matt mentioned, we've talked in previous episodes how we travel and we see a lot of different townships and cities and villages that we visited that were interested in discussing the medical marijuana topic of whether to opt in under the new act. And I would say a majority, many, if not, a vast majority of these communities have had sort of a wait and see approach. They wanted to wait to see what the state board was going to do as far as issuing rules. And, well, we finally have a board. So it's one less thing for them to tell us that's an obstacle. Now this board needs to act and work with Laura towards implementation. But certainly within the absence of the board, we were kind of waiting on this to happen. And that's, again, one less thing for the townships to push back on.
Like we're saying, too, I think with the selection of the board, and I've said it earlier, but I think we're going to see a lot more movement in the industry.
Yeah.
Now so many municipalities could kind of use not the excuse, but kind of say, hey, we're waiting. Now, once these rules and regulations come out, you're really going to see people be forced to make these decisions. Are they in or out? Are they going to wait for a year, see if these rules and regulations are working well, or if they're going to have to be changed? and then opt in. And I think that's really important because it really gets the ball rolling, especially for our clients. It's pushing the conversation, and that's what you want to do. You want to constantly be progressing so that you're not at a point of standstill, because it's we run a very much hurry up and wait moment, and that can be really frustrating for entrepreneurs and people that are really trying to get things going, especially people that are trying to investment capital. A lot of these investors would ask, can I buy one building and have it grow on a processor? Do I need 2 different addresses? Stuff like that. That's going to be answered. That really, I think, is going to give the clarity to really let the industry move forward and mature.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's a lot of clients that we've met with that have properties lined up that are ready to pull the trigger, ready to make these investments all throughout communities all over the state of Michigan. And, all of them to a person has just been waiting to make sure that the license law is going to move forward the way it's intended to. The statute provides some duties and some rules for the board. It's important to point out that, from a politics standpoint, there's going to be barriers set up between licensees and applicants and the board. It's intended so that there's no interaction, that there can be no favoritism. There's anti-bribery language, of course, in the statutes, and we'll call it nepotism for lack of a better description, but anti the ability to use a relationship in favor of getting a license. This is really supposed to be a clean slate where everybody who has wished and desired to be in the industry has the same opportunity to apply. And as long as they have the proper package and do the things we previously discussed regarding vetting their partners, regarding raising the capital, regarding the business planning and the location and all that, that everyone will have an equal opportunity to have that license and be able to prosper under the new law.
And I think, one of the most interesting parts that 281 has when it set up the board was just how many restrictions there are for the board. And as Craig said, truly making it fair and equal, as well as making it positive for the industry. That was one thing that when I read it, I was really happy about. And I think a lot of people were that the board is going to be held to such a high standard. And I think it's going to be only a good thing for the industry. I think that it's going to bring a lot of credibility to the industry, as well as push the industry forward to even more out of the shadows and into the mainstream. So these are all great things that are developing. It's huge news that this is going on. I urge you, if you're following your own municipalities that you're tracking, maybe give them a call. Now that they have possibly heard that this is happening, they may be starting to schedule more meetings. Their city attorneys may become more active. Whatever you need to do, to get your business started, get out there and start doing it, because really this is the first step to get that ball rolling for the state applications coming in December.
Yeah, and I think it's important that as you do that, the townships might assume that people are ready, willing, and wanting to operate in their community, but they might not know for sure. And this is where we need to get to the point of the theory of having it in their communities, to really demonstrating that there's people that desire to invest in their community and what that actually means to that community, either from a revenue standpoint, from the tax share that will occur from the excise fund, or the jobs that will be created locally. What's really truly amazing, and we're going to talk about it in our next episode on Wednesday, is this economy that is going to be created around the medical marijuana market. It's one of the very few industries, certainly in Michigan but elsewhere, where everything about it is local. It has to be supplied with local supply. It needs local labor. It needs to be in a location that's within the state, and all the consumers who are purchasing, be it from a wholesale market grower to processor or to a dispensary and then to the end user, they're all in Michigan. This whole thing will be encompassed in Michigan, and it's just a matter of convincing these communities that it's in their best interest from a revenue and job standpoint to participate, and of course allowing these operators to buy the properties and then make the investments that they're really sitting on the sidelines ready to do. There's millions of dollars sitting here ready to be invested all throughout the state. And again, this was just one point of, one obstacle we've been waiting to jump over.
And just to reiterate, like Craig said, next Wednesday we're going to be talking about the Michigan marijuana economy, how it's growing, how it's changing, just a general overview. Additionally, we're still having our seminar June 9th down at Cobo Hall. Please, tickets are available, so if you'd like, join us. It's all day, as well as a couple VIP tickets are left for the day before Tigers game, where you can do a meet and greet. So from Marijuana Matt
and Cannabis Craig,
you guys have a good day.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.